Ayesha switched off the buzzing alarm on her phone and jumped out of bed. Today was the day she would finally explore Bethlehem. "Today's the day," she said aloud to herself. She had barely slept, consumed with anticipation about finally exploring Bethlehem. As a travel vlogger living in Mumbai, Ayesha was always seeking out new destinations to experience and share with her viewers. She had dreamed of visiting Bethlehem ever since she was a little girl, fascinated by stories of the Church of the Nativity and the deep history of the Palestinian city. After months of planning, securing a visa, and mapping out an itinerary, the day had finally arrived. Ayesha quickly washed up and got dressed, choosing a casual but colourful olive green kurta paired with blue jeans. She glanced in the mirror, pleased to see her warm brown eyes shining with anticipation. After a final check that her camera and gear were charged and ready, she headed out the door. "Good to go," she murmured, giving her reflection a thumbs up in the mirror. With a bounce in her step, she headed out the door. The sights and sounds hit Ayesha as soon as she stepped outside. Mopeds whizzed down narrow streets while vendors called out their wares, the morning air rich with the aroma of za'atar and cardamom coffee. Ayesha took a deep breath, filling her lungs with the intoxicating scents of the Levant. On the street below her hotel, a fruit vendor called out to her, "Ahlan wa sahlan, fresh oranges, only 5 shekels." Ayesha smiled at him brightly. "Not now, but I'll stop by on my way back." With a spring in her step, she began navigating through the bustling crowds, following the Google Maps directions to the city centre. Her camera was poised to capture spontaneous moments: a little boy grinning and waving, an old woman hand-making falafel. In Star Street Market, a teenage boy approached her. "American? No. India? My cousin lives in Mumbai." Ayesha laughed. "Yes, I'm from Mumbai. What's your name?" "I'm Karam. You are visiting the church today?" "I am. I've dreamed of seeing it since I was a little girl." Karam nodded. "It is very beautiful. Enjoy your time in Bethlehem." "Shukran, Karam," Ayesha waved as she continued on. When Ayesha reached Star Street, she paused and took in the vibrant scene. Market stalls brimmed with embroidered dresses, hand-blown glassware, and piles of fresh produce. She zoomed in on juicy pomegranates, blood red and glistening with morning dew. Just then, the exotic trill of an oud caught her ear, followed by lively drum beats. Ayesha spotted the source, a trio of street musicians tucked against a stone wall, playing traditional Palestinian folk songs. Smiling broadly, she made her way over, swaying gently to the infectious rhythms. "For your wonderful playing," she said, dropping the coins into their case. "Allah Ibarek Fiki." They thanked her graciously. At the falafel stand, the vendor greeted her cheerfully. "Ahlan ya Siti, you like falafel?" "I'd love some, please," Ayesha replied. "And a small hummus too." Re-energized, Ayesha set off once more, consulting her map. She was getting closer now, just a few more blocks until... And then she saw it, rising majestically above the low buildings, the bell tower of the Church of the Nativity. Ayesha's breath caught in her throat, overwhelmed with emotion. After years of waiting, she was finally here. With slow, reverent steps, she walked through the ancient archway leading into Manja Square. There stood the basilica, its weathered sandstone exterior belying the rich history contained within. Swallowing down a lump in her throat, Ayesha began the ascent up the stairs. Inside, Ayesha paused to let her eyes adjust to the dim interior. She took in the rows of lamps casting a soft, flickering glow and ornate ceilings glinting with gold. Murals depicting biblical scenes adorned the walls and columns. Wandering slowly, Ayesha traced her fingers over markings in the stone floors, wondering how many centuries of feet had trod the same path. She imagined the myriad souls who had sought solace within these walls over countless generations. In a small vestibule, Ayesha came upon the door of humility, its arched opening less than 4 feet high. For a brief moment, she hesitated. Then, taking a deep breath, she crouched down and stepped through, symbolically bowing before the sacred space beyond. Inside the narrow passageway, Ayesha blinkered as her eyes adjusted again to an even deeper darkness. Pinpricks of light-marked flickering candles, their gentler glow illuminating worn stone floors and age-blackened icons. The scent of frankincense hung heavy in the air as she walked slowly forward into the grotto, footsteps echoing softly. This ancient cave was the heart of the basilica, the very site where Jesus was said to be born. Kneeling down, Ayesha brushed her fingers over a silver star set in the marble floor. This marked the manger itself, the humble place where Mary is believed to have given birth to the Son of God. Ayesha wasn't sure how long she stayed there kneeling, lost in contemplation. She thought of her Christian friends back home in Mumbai, realizing how much this place must mean to them. It was a profound experience, even for someone outside the faith like herself. At last, Ayesha rose, joints creaking slightly. She made her way back out into the main sanctuary, blinking against the brightness. There she found a wizened priest, his white beard blending into his robes. "Good morning, Father," Ayesha greeted him. "I'm Ayesha, a travel vlogger from India. May I ask you a few questions about this incredible church?" The priest's eyes crinkled as he smiled. "Of course, my child. Welcome to the Basilica of the Nativity." Ayesha switched on her camera and began asking him about the history of the site, how he felt when he first saw the grotto, and his role in caring for the church. She peppered him with thoughtful questions, listening intently to his responses. When the interview concluded, the priest grasped her hands warmly. "Thank you for your interest, Ayesha. I'm happy to see you approach our faith with such openness and respect." Ayesha left the church feeling spiritually refreshed. She found a sunny bench in Manja Square, reflecting on how the profound history of this place resonated deeply, regardless of one's beliefs. Humanity's longing for meaning was universal. The sun was arcing high overhead now, and Ayesha's stomach rumbled once more. Pausing at a small restaurant, she asked the waiter, "What do you recommend here? I want to try something authentic." "The moussakhan is excellent, chicken and onions over taboon bread." Ayesha nodded. "That sounds amazing, I'll have that please." As she ate, she chatted with the waiter. "My name is Ayesha, what's yours?" "I'm Wasim, nice to meet you." He told her about his studies and dreams for the future. Ayesha was struck by his hopeful spirit despite the hardships he described. She made a mental note to include his perspective in her vlog. After finishing her meal, Ayesha set back out to explore more of the old city's winding alleys and shops. She popped into small storefronts, admiring handmade olive wood carvings and trying on traditional embroidered dresses. In one shop, Ayesha chatted at length with the owner, Ibrahim, learning about the dying art of mother-of-pearl inlay. She filmed a segment about how tourism helps keep these cultural crafts alive by providing income to artisans. Continuing her wanderings, Ayesha soon stumbled upon a lively drum circle, locals mingling with tourists as they danced. She gladly joined in, clapping her hands and swaying her hips to the festive rhythms. Later, rested on a quiet bench near the old city walls, Ayesha took time to reflect on how the day had unfolded. She felt honored to immerse herself even briefly in the rich cultural tapestry of Bethlehem. Bearing witness to the resilience and spirit of its people filled her with hope. As the sun began its descent toward the horizon, Ayesha made her way to the rooftop of her hotel. From this vantage point, she filmed the city transitioning into evening. Lights blinkered on as shops closed up and restaurants opened for the night shift. The call to Maghrib prayer echoed from minarets. Back in her room, Ayesha settled in to review the day's footage. She smiled, knowing this would make for an amazing vlog entry. As she sipped sweet mint tea, she jotted notes and captions in her travel journal. Laying back on crisp white sheets, Ayesha replayed the day's events in her mind like a movie, meandering through chaotic markets, savoring new flavors, losing herself in contemplation within ancient walls. It had exceeded all her expectations. After a quick shower, Ayesha headed downstairs to the small restaurant attached to her hotel. She was seated at a table with a local family who welcomed her warmly. The mother heaped Ayesha's plate with makluba, an inverted rice dish rich with spices and chicken. Ayesha happily accepted second and third helpings as they chatted late into the evening. Back in her room, Ayesha felt pleasantly full and sleepy. But before turning in for the night, she turned on her camera and recorded a personal vlog entry. Curled up in a comfy chair, she rambled in an unscripted style about the day's adventures. She couldn't wait to explore more of the city tomorrow.